Real property immovable, personal property movable. Pretty simple, right? Well, it may not be as simple as you think, and there's some potential pitfalls people run into when taking the real estate exam. And I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen to you. But first, let me answer a question that people ask, which is where do they get their courses, whether it be pre-licensing or continuing education? As you know, I just do exam prep. I explain concepts. So for the courses, I recommend you go to PrepAgent. They got some easy to use online courses that are interactive that'll help you fulfill those requirements. Just go to PrepAgent.com. I'll put in the show notes. But with that being said, let's get to the topic at hand. Personal property versus real property. So in your textbooks, you see personal property immovable, real property immovable. But what if they're asking about something like a lease, mineral rights, or crops that haven't been harvested yet? Oof, then it gets a little trickier, right guys? It's not as simple as something that's just nailed to the floor or the house or the mailbox. So how do we get past this concept? Well, I want you to remember this. Personal property goes to the person. Real property goes with the real estate. I'll say it again. Personal property goes with the person. Real property goes with the real estate. Let's take that lease, for example. You guys think a lease is a piece of paper. Well, not these days. Now you got DocuSign and whatnot. Who has a piece of paper anymore? So people say piece of paper is, remember, a piece of paper is movable. But let's understand the larger whole, the bigger concept. You see, when you buy a house, the lease doesn't necessarily start when you buy the house. The lease could start at any moment during the ownership, and it could end at any moment during ownership. It doesn't begin and end with the transfer of the property. It is independent of that. Therefore, it doesn't go with the real estate. It's a contract with a person. Okay, just think, when you buy a house, you live there, maybe you're fixing it up or do whatever you want, and in a later time period during your ownership of the property, the lease can begin. That's why leases are personal property. They don't necessarily, as we say, run with the land. Real property goes with the real estate. They run with the land. Meaning when the property is transferred, those items go with it. I mentioned things like a mailbox, mentioned the house itself is real property because really you're buying the land. The house runs with the land. So real property goes with the real estate. Okay? And then often you hear things like chandeliers. Because the chandeliers is attached to the house. Therefore, it's real property. And that is called a fixture. A fixture is anything defined that is incorporated into the land. It was something that was personal property. It was now as real property because of the way it was incorporated into the land. And you learned the term MARIA, method, adaptability, relationship, intention, and agreement as your test for what is a fixture. A chandelier is the most common example. And you have things like trade fixtures, which are fixtures that are used for business purposes, much like a dentist chair or a barbershop chair or like a pizza oven, things of that nature. Those are personal property. Now remember what I said before. Personal property goes with the person. Real property goes with the real estate. That chandelier goes with the property when the property is sold. That dentist chair does not. That dentist chair could be taken away by the dentist. Okay? And that's why I want you to remember that larger concept of personal property goes to the person, real property goes to the real estate to enhance what you initially learn of real property immovable, personal property movable. Because that dentist chair, that example that's almost in every textbook, that's something that's pretty immovable. I don't know if you ever sat in a dentist chair. They don't move so easily. They're bolted to the ground, but yet it's personal property. And that's why I wanted to explain this, because going off that initial explanation of real property, immovable, personal property is movable, that dentist chair you would think is real property. But if you remember what I'm saying about personal property goes to the person, real property goes to the real estate, you won't get tripped up. And so if they throw examples at you that are more complicated than a dentist chair, a chandelier, or a lease, if you remember that overarching rule, you'll be okay. This is Joe from PrepAgent, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.